one of the buildings that were down was where my mom was actually working. She was still there. Communications being down, I had no news from her, so I was like really worried. No transport was really being done at that moment because of the situation. People were still in shock. But by the next day, I found a ride and managed to get to Port-au-Prince.
When we got over the crest that looks down on Port-au-Prince, our hopes were kind of dashed because we saw that it was getting dark and the city was dark. There was hardly any electricity, which means that the state power was not being distributed at that time, which was an indication that the system was down. And our cell phones didn't work. We were hoping that when we got over the mountain we would be in the range of Port-au-Prince, where of course our cell phones would work because they have so many towers there, but they didn't. And so we still had no way of calling anyone or finding out any news, so we kept going down, and on the road down we saw giant boulders the size of buses that had fallen into the road. We could barely snake our way through them. So then my heart really sank because I knew that this was a big earthquake, probably bigger in the area of Port-au-Prince.
When I got to Port-au-Prince, I found that my mother and my sisters were okay, fine. And that she got out just at time, out of that building, and sad story, yes. And once in Port-au-Prince, it was really critical trying to get security at that period of time, just after the earthquake, because prisons had broken down. There was many thieves, robbers, like in the streets, and people in this situation had to sleep in the streets. So not everyone could actually be sleeping at that time. There was a few victims of this, but multiple people did neighborhood brigades, and tried to maintain a minimum of security. Because in this situation, the police also didn't know what to do.
On CNN is where we saw the image of the National Palace that had fallen, and we heard that that lower part of the city was destroyed, and that was just devastating to all of us because that part of the city, that the city itself is the heart of the country. It's the center of everything, and to see it just wasted like that is really a blow to all of us that hold this country dear.
Hearing how the hospitals were in, the number of victims in Port-au-Prince, once I knew that my family was safe, I said that I should be helping out. But the problem was that there was no coordination between all the resources, the human resources. So I showed up at one of the closest hospitals to my house, which is Hôpital La Paix in Delma-33. Once I got there, there were only 4 doctors. 4 doctors, but the hospital was full, which would mean that all the rooms were full. The waiting rooms, even the parking lot, there were victims everywhere. There was also, not only was it lacking human resources as doctors and nurses and auxiliaries, all medical personnel, but there wasn't the material also. Operating rooms were down. There was no labs or radiology or no sorts. So it was really trying to get helping the patients by managing the minimal things we could. Well, the first things we tried to manage with these patients were pain and trying to prevent infections. But even with the lack of equipment, we only did what was possible.